Okay, welcome everyone to Divine Illumination, also known in Yoruba as Imolede. I have with me a man of God. He's a teacher of the Bible. He's the president of Rock of Salvation Apostolic Church worldwide, based in Ibadan, in Nigeria, and also in London, Rosac, London. Today we are examining the topic of names. Names are very important. We all know, especially most of us from Africa, we all know the importance of names. In fact, all over the world, we all know the importance of names. Names are very, very important. People are very particular about the names that they name their child. Some people name their children according to the situation, the circumstances they were going through at a certain point in their life. So today, we want to shed some light. We want Apostle Israel Olubori. We want him to shed some light on the importance of names. Apostle, Daddy, you're welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Before I forget, I have with me Mrs. Juliana Tolualoju, who's my co-host. Over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. In this age and time, one tend to wonder, do we have religious names? Anything like Christian names, religious names? Do they exist? And once, do I have to change my name at any point in time? Would like you to shed some light on that for us.
Before the coming of religion, people had names. That means religion has nothing to do with your name. It has to do with your identity, your beliefs, the culture and the traditions of your parents, of those who birthed you. Because during the christening ceremony, some people do christening ceremony after 5 days, some after 8 days, some the same day. Who determines that? Is it God? Is it religion? No. It's the people's culture and belief. So that's why they give names according to their culture and their beliefs. Okay? Now, when this woman drew Moses out of the water, she called him Moses. Not the mother. Yes, he said, I drew him out of the water. So, and that has been it. Even when God called him, God recognized him as what? As Moses. You understand? And Moses didn't change the name when God called him. The reason Abraham changed his own name was spiritual. If there are spiritual problems that needs to be unraveled, or there is something spiritual attached to the name, which your people gave you at birth, that's when God goes, okay, do this. But apart from that, it is not compulsory and it is not mandatory for anyone to change name because they change the religion. Because we think that when people see us, when I bear Matthew does not make me a Christian. If I bear Israel, I'm Israel. It doesn't make me a Christian. That's me. It's not about a name change. Most of us want to dress it on the surface. But what God requires is the inner man. Christianity is inside, not what you do outside. But we want people to identify with either Islam or Christianity so that they will say you are a child of God. No. That's one of the mistakes we made. And that's where it's part of mental, religious colonization. All the names you see in the Bible, they are cultural names. They are not religious names. We just adopted them. They are the names of the people of that area. You understand that? Which we, to prove that we are part of them, we decide to adopt it when we accept the faith. Are you with me? Abraham was the name of those people in Syria. Was part of their names. Sarah was part of their names. It was part of their culture. It was not God that gave them the name initially, you know that. And everybody, God does not say, wait for me, I will give you name. It is the parent that determines their names according to their culture, their tradition, and their beliefs. Sometimes their beliefs and their circumstances, they determine the names. And the names should be able to tell you so many things about an individual, about their lives, about their beliefs, about their parents. Okay, if I call my child now Fumilayo, okay, what am I? I'm the one giving that child name Fumilayo. Fumilayo, Oluwa Fumilayo. God has brought joy to me. So that child is what? Is joy. You understand? So I've given that child a name. So name has nothing. I know you to be Pastor Sikiru. And the church has not mandated you, since you've been a Christian, that, oh, go and change your name. And unfortunately, he told me that when he was born, they had two naming ceremonies. The Muslims were doing their own on one side, and the mother and the father side. The Christians were doing their own on the other side. So they gave you Michael. The Christian gave him Michael. The father gave him Sikiru. So he adopted Sikiru. All these don't you have Yoruba names? Olanrewaju. Okay. Sikiru and Olanrewaju, which is better? Is Olanrewaju not better than Sikiru? Ask him the meaning of Sikiru. You understand? We are people that we are lost. And we have to recover ourselves. I said something earlier. If you look at America, people are doing ancestry DNA now to trace their root. If they maintain their ancestral name, they will not have that problem. Anybody that's called Kwasi, even if they go to slavery and it's called Kwesi, they will know it's from Ghana. Are you with me? Anyone that is called Ogbefu, and it said, maintain, even if I die, children, keep this name going. By the time they hear Ogbefu, they will know it's from Igbo. You understand? So all these things, we lost our identity because we are trying to be religious. All the names in the Bible was, okay, Timothy was a Gentile. When he became a Christian, did he change his name? Timothy was a Gentile name. Paul was a Gentile name. They didn't change their name. But who mandated us that we must change our own name to look religious?
When we look at the story of Jabez, for example, since he was named, his mother called him a child of sorrow.
Okay.
But he didn't change his name, even though he prayed.
His situation changed, his circumstances changed, but he didn't change the name. If there will be a name change for anything positive to happen, God will give divine message. That can be divine message. You are a Eberechi. What's the meaning of Eberechi?
God's mercy.
And another thing is that we try to interpret names for people to know it. I mean, to tell them so that we can call you are Eberechi. God is what?
God is merciful.
Okay, so because God is merciful, God is mercy, God mercy. No, you are Eberechi, you are Eberechi. People should stop translating names. It gives you an identity. It tells us about your culture. And names are attached to what? Culture, tradition, and beliefs. That's why we say Ogunwale. Ifafumito. Names are attached to religion, to culture, and to language.
I get you, sir. So if Fabumi, for example, now accept Christ, okay, and say, I surrender all to Christ, but she's still called Ifabumi.
Okay.
So what we say here, she doesn't need to change her name. She can still retain the name Ifabumi.
You can retain the name Ifabumi, Ogunwale, Ogunbambo, Ogunbanwo. It has nothing to do with your relationship with God. It is not, Christianity is not about a name change. We just try to colonize ourselves. There's no place in the Bible that says the moment you become a Christian, you have to change your name. If not, why did Paul drop Saul, a Jewish name, to go and bear Paul, a Gentile name, if it is anything to do with name? But Philemon didn't change his name. Timothy didn't change his name. Titus didn't change his name. These were people that we know that they were Gentiles. You don't need a name change. But we think we want people to identify as that I'm a Christian. But I see that there are so many Matthew and so many Paul in prisons who are murderers. So that means the name change has not done anything. So it's not about changing your name. You can't change your root. You are Yoruba, I'm Yoruba. You are Igbo. You see, we have a root. And let's continue to maintain that root that we have a name that we should be proud of. It's our identity.
To buttress your point, I like what you just said, but it reminds me of somewhere in one of the Gospels, where they were talking about the naming of John the Baptist. The father actually wanted to name him after himself, Zacharias.
Yes.
But the Holy Spirit kind of intervened, and they shut him up. He couldn't speak. He became, dumb or whatever, and he couldn't speak until such time as the child was now named properly, and he named him John. And now, if it had been, I can't imagine we have Zachariah the Baptist, but we have John the Baptist. So
Because
is that like a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Names are cultural. So everybody will give name according to their culture and their tradition. They look at the home. They look at their family.
Okay.
And then maybe their ade, their crown, they would name a child like that. Maybe their ola, they would name a child like that. You understand?
Okay.
So when you now become a Christian, your identity is your identity. It has nothing to do with your belief and your faith. Okay, some will wonder, according to the Bible, it says, I engrave you on my palm. Okay, if your name is engraved on the palm and your name is Ephoseta, will God be pleased with that? Let me tell you this today. It is not that name that God identifies you with. You have a spiritual name. Everyone has a spiritual name the moment you were created. You have a spiritual identity. Okay? And if God is the one giving you name himself, his name has to do with your mission and your commission. So if God is giving you name like John, so that means you have an assignment. Like Jesus, you have an assignment. And even Jesus was not a strange name. It was Joshua, which was what was in existence before, which means Jehovah's salvation. So you don't need to interpret your name to somebody. When they say your name is Kinde, and somebody say, what's the meaning of Kinde? You say, come last. Come last. It doesn't make sense to people. I'm Kinde. You don't tell people to interpret their names. It has to do with their culture, their belief, their tradition, and their language.
Thank you very much for that, Daddy. Now, this then leads me on to something else. Why does God himself also have a name? Because I know there are names of God. Some refer to his ability to do certain things and, certain benefits. So why does God himself have a name?
We run it up with that. Yes. Let me tell you this. A name is the identity. Something with which you can be identified. It's like when you write a letter without a name, it doesn't go anywhere. It must have a destination. It must have an identity. Name gives you identity. With that, you can be called in the midst of many lords. We will know which Lord you are referring to when you call them by name. That's why God says you should be calling by name. But some people say they know 100 names of God. They know 1,000 names of God. I want to tell you today, my name is Israel Anyafe Olubori. May God like Israel. I don't know why I'm called Israel, because when I go to Israel, nobody even know me. But they know me as Anyafe Oludumare. Are you with me? So even God knows me as Anyafe. You see, God has only one name, not 100 names. All the other titles you have added, you added it. His name is what? Yahweh. Are you with me? The other thing you can say, when they say Almighty, what does that talk about? It's just a couple of what? It's might. Every other thing, Jehovah Jireh. It has to do with everybody's encounter with God. Abraham had an encounter with what? For provision. That's when Jireh came in. Anyone, if it's an encounter for healing, it becomes Jehovah Rapha. So it depends. Their encounter is what added. So it became an attribute of God. This is what God can do. But everything is attached to one thing, what? Yahweh. That's Jehovah. So he has only one name. Every other thing is what? Is attributes. It's talking about the type of person God is. And I think that is that for today. God bless you all. Take care.